You're listening to an episode recorded during the time Innovation Fuel was part of University Canada West. We are proud and grateful for the work we've done together, and we want to thank the university for being in our podcast. We are now excited to continue the journey of Innovation Fuel into its next chapter. Thanks for listening. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Innovation Fuel, the podcast that brings you fantastic stories from entrepreneurs and key industry professionals. I am Dave Kiran.
And I am Gelare Farhadian. We are educators, entrepreneurs, and your hosts. Innovation Fuel is our weekly business podcast brought to you by University Canada West. Each week, we explore diverse business models, entrepreneur journeys, experts' insight, and managerial challenges, and how companies stay agile and innovative during COVID-19. Check out our episodes at www.ucanwest.ca/innovation fuel. So, are you tired of staying at home and just work on your documents?
Well, I am so tired of staying at home and working and passing documents. Oh my God, the amount of times we pass documents back and forth and sending the wrong ones and the wrong one of the wrong dates. I don't know how many times I've done that and have to reorganize everything. I wish I had a better system.
I wish I have a better system rather than emails and, even the reversioning rather than the draft, the final of the final.
Well, I'm waiting for artificial intelligence to take over my world. I'd rather have artificial intelligence taking care of this. I don't want to deal with this minutia. It's too much.
It's too much, but before going to the artificial intelligence, I think that there is many softwares that we can use as a document management that manage our documents, the reversioning of that one, sharing, having access, different level of access. And, it's in my time, and 24 years ago when I was working in document management was just for big companies, constructions, engineering companies that's dealing with huge amount of documents. But right now, because we are more moving to the computer wise and everything is document based, even for small businesses. So document management is not a fancy word just for large companies, and not all just a fancy company just provide them like a SAP. So there is others in the small companies, the startups, they have in the document management.
But for a startup to find that idea, because it isn't a sexy thing, and I think this is one of the things that we need to let our entrepreneurial students out there, is that there's some things out there that are not sexy, but hold the brakes a minute, there might be an opportunity. And I think we're going to learn about an opportunity today that was explored and found, and a business model has developed from it, a pretty successful one in Brazil, and is expanding here in Canada. I'd like to introduce you to
Ingrid Polini. Ingrid Polini, she is a young lady from Brazil that she had her own business in Brazil. Right now she's in Canada and she's in the accelerator stage to have her own company in Canada. Welcome, Ingrid Polini. Welcome, Ingrid Polini, to Innovation Fuel podcast.
Hello, Ingrid. Yes, welcome to the show. We're so glad to have you here. We're really excited to learn more about you and your background. I think you have some very exciting things to share with us today. Can you give us a little bit of background into you, Ingrid, who you are, what you do, and why are you in the industry you are in today?
Well, first of all, thank you for the invite. I'm very happy to be here. And so let's talk a little bit about, I work in IT, so I work in software as service. I'm a 25-year-old Brazilian entrepreneur that lives in Canada right now. And I've been a CEO for my company in Brazil for 5 years. And we just started our expansion to Canada last year.
So do you want to explain your journey, why you started to have your own business? What's happened that you did it?
Of course. So I went through a lot of internships in other big tech companies. And at first, tech wasn't my passion, but was the thing that I found the first internships in and ended up trying to not come back and then coming back nonetheless. And then me and my business partner found an opportunity in the permits and document management market, and we decided to explore it. So when we did it, I was interning in another company, so I didn't even finish my bachelor's at this point. I was in the last year of my bachelor's and starting the company. And we started having a very fast demand. We got a couple developers like that's what we want to start like getting traction. And that's how things grew out of proportion in the sense we weren't expecting to have that good of a feedback in the start. So after that, there was like 5 very stable and very 5 years of growth. We decided to also expand to Canada after that.
So Ingrid, take us back a little bit back to how did you find the product market fit here? How did you find this gap in this market in technology?
So what happens today is that if we think about it, a lot of the technology is dedicated today for end goals. So let's say if you have a mining industry, a lot of the technology for the mining industry is towards the mining activity. But the support, the support systems for that activity to happen. So, for example, in my case, permits and documents don't have that much technology. Or usually, the big softwares that we have out there are softwares that are they have a document management platform that works very simply, just to say that they do have it. So when we start looking at this market, I started talking to people on this market. My mother is an entrepreneur in the consulting service, and she has been working in this market for 25 years. And I would see the people that work for her and her clients using those huge spreadsheets that would take like 15 minutes to open. And I was like, wait, but can't we use this and actually transform it into a software and make a software that will help everyone, and so they don't lose information in that process? And no one at this point had done something similar to this, so very specific to their needs. So we created the first prototype, got to one of actually her clients, like, hey, can you test this for me for free? And if you like it, we'll make a great deal. And then we can start working from there. And they loved it. And actually, they're still our clients to this day and keep developing the platform as we go.
So they're the ones that you build the idea off. You keep agiling and building on it from this great client. But a very neat story, Ingrid, from the very beginning. And hey, guys, leverage parents, leverage the network to try to see if we might find an idea. And it's very interesting how you came to this idea. It almost seems like by accident that you've seen something from the experience of being in tech and seeing, so, hey, can we apply a technology to this? I love it.
Now, my question is, who are your main competitors?
So then we have difference between Brazil and Canada. I'm going to talk about Canada right now. We have the big players in this market, right? SAP, we have IBM. They do have very basic softwares in terms of document management. Whenever we talk about document management, people always ask me the questions like, oh, is it like Google Drive? And it's a completely different direction from that. So when we talk about document management, those are the companies that they will be thinking about. My competitors today in Canada are especially the softwares that for health and security and quality. So we have Construe Online. We have softwares they're very niche softwares for the constructing business. So there's no direct competitor in the sense of like doing exactly what we do with our software, but there's similar softwares that would take care of different kinds of documents and with others. So there's one that's called expiration date, which just takes care of the expiration date and basically gives notifications, but it doesn't do the whole process of like processing the information and giving reports over it.
So it's better to rephrase my question again. So back to that question, but rather than competitor, tell me your client. Who are your main clients? We know that the engineers company, they need the document management, but can you emphasize it, why they need it and how you're helping them?
To give that, I'll give you an example. Let's say that we have a company that has, I'm going to say a medium-sized to small-sized company that has around 200 stores, establishments, factories, something like that. For each one of those business units, they have to take care, I would say, around 40 to 60 documents. And if I had to eyeball it, would be around 20 of those that expire every so often. So a year, 6 months, or 2 years. You can imagine how those 40 documents per 200 units would add to this big document management issue very quickly. So our clients are basically, we work today we have big universities in Brazil. There are like university chains. We have restaurant chains. We have property management. We are working with mining. All those industries that they have a lot of business units to take care for, and therefore a lot of documents that they have to manage.
So why you are saying the document will expire?
So Think that, so every time you do, let's think about a business permit, for example. Depending where you are in Canada, it has different expiration dates. So if you have, let's say you have a HQ person that is working all the way in Toronto, and they have to manage all those. It happens that some of this documents will expire and they will not see it, and you have to maintain them in a very close site. When you go to industries like mining, those documents are way more dangerous and can come to, like, if you don't have that document and fiscal comes to see your unit, it might close the operation because you don't have that document. So you go all the way from fines to completely shutting down an operation because of the lack of documents.
Okay, so you're really emphasizing on the expiring of each document, right? So this is that you think that it's a unique about your product.
One of the things, yes.
What is another thing that makes your product?
The document management part is very neglected in the sense that they can't really show the progress that they're making. So when you come to someone that does the document management for a company, and the complaint is always like, CEOs come to me when they have an issue. So like when one document expire, but they can never see, like, look, I've like controlled all these other 12,000 documents without no problems with fees or shutting down a plant or something like that. So having those reports into how much they're growing, how many documents, like we have dashboards and this is like, oh, these ones are about to expire. How many days would you like the software to let you know when this document is about to expire, and what are the tasks you want to do it on it? So they can use all the suppliers, put them on the platform, and the suppliers have to do all the information there. The other thing is, let's say I'm the document management person in X company, and I decide to quit, right? I just decide I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm not doing my 15 days. I'm just going to go. You can get all the information that was under Ingrid Polini and transfer it to a second person, either be the manager or the next person. That way you don't lose the information in the process, right?
And so you have regular dashboards that are there so that this new individual loads up and they can see all the activity right there in front of them.
Or even the tasks. So let's say that I was supposed to next week ask for some documents from a supplier. The software will transfer all my tasks to that new person, and it's like, hey, you actually have documents that you have to ask for this person. The next person might not know exactly what it is, but it will be able to follow through without any major loss.
Okay, so you can define the workflow as well in your document management. So it's not just storing and accessing to the document, but also you can create a workflow to who can access and when you can have access to that one and what action you can take on this document.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we have that, and as well as a flow chart. So there are documents that, let's say, to take this specific document, you have to have 3 other ones. You can do that by drawing that on the system. So an analyst that doesn't really know the process, for example, can get in there and say like, oh, okay, I need to take these 3 documents by that day, and then to be able to have this document in time for the construction, for example.
Okay. So one thing that I'm still not clear here. The system you do, I as a user design the flowchart in your software, and then the business analyst will implement that one, or just automatically will happen?
Oh, it would automatically happen.
So I as a user, I can design any kind of flowchart in your software, right? And then it automatically will be processed. So they don't need any business analyst to go and understand your requirement and set your software.
No.
Oh, okay. So for installing and implementing your software, you don't need anyone. You don't need a person.
No.
Okay. That is a great thing to do.
Yeah, it becomes more of a SaaS-based system then, because then I guess you'd be updating it in the back end, and that they would just update the updates from there.
Yep. Yeah. And one of the things that clients like most about this, let's say that they have a meeting in 5 minutes and they have to add a bunch of information about documents that they forgot. If they do that and they take the matrix, for example, is that big report one that our clients love, it will be all updated within minutes. So that's the advantage of having a software in cloud.
One here is that I have a document that we're sharing with each other and reversioning it many times, and then in the final version, if I wanted, I can automatically share with someone else and say that use this final version, this version.
So you have a couple options there. First of all, not everyone has access to all documents if you don't want to. We divide it by fronts. So let's say you have confidential documents that is just for management, and then you have the other sections or other sectors that will have access to the documents. You can also get this document, and let's say you have the reversioning. So we save the history of the reversioning, and you can see what it was that happened. And then you want to share this specific document with, let's say, with a supplier or with someone that is on the plant, and then the fiscal is there and asking for the document right away. You can do that through the software, but your team, for example, for some reason, you don't want them to have that security clearance, we can block that too. So it's very personalized in the sense you can choose the exact profile that you want.
Okay, so the level of access is personalized. Again, you don't need admin to give them access or to set the access for everyone.
So what we do is that we do the first upload of access because it's usually a lot of people, and then we train someone from the company to delete or add new users, that they will be the responsible person from just for security purposes. So they can decide, usually a HR person that will decide who can have access to the software or not.
Okay, so you will define an admin inside a company, and that company is responsible for the security of documents.
Yes.
Not that, okay, got it. One more thing is that how do you have OCR or any software that read the inside a document to understand what its expiration date is or not?
So we are training our machine learning right now. We are developing the OCR. It's not as easy because in our industry, what happens is that you have different documents and they all have different faces depending on which permit you get. So we are developing the machine learning, but that takes a little bit more time than we predicted. So not for this moment.
So you don't have an OCR to do that one, but so how you understand the expiry date or any information that is required to get it to be under your dashboard?
Yeah, so there's two ways. We have a mass upload that we do. So usually those clients will have some form of Excel that they are working with, and we can upload the Excel for them, and they just have to upload the documents with this specific name. So our software reads the name in the spreadsheet and then the name of the document and uploads all the information. And the second way is doing it manually. So the person can enter that and change the expiration date in one document.
But the ultimate goal for you, Ingrid, is to move towards using more machine learning, artificial intelligence to make this a smoother system, so that we can reduce the amount, maybe the labor that goes into the manualness of this.
Exactly. That's the goal.
And Ingrid, who typically would be your clients now coming? I know you said in Brazil, you said universities, you said restaurants, and then you kind of lean towards mining here in Canada. BC being a very big mining market, but what other types of industries would your organization sort of target as potential clients out there?
So right now, our targets would be mining is a big example. We have property management. We have any kind of retail chain. So retail stores, pharmacies. We actually have a lot of pharmacies in Brazil too, but like pharmacy chains like PharmaSave or something like that. We have clients in construction. So the example that was given for like engineers or planners that do all the planning for the constructions. Those firms would benefit to a software like that as well.
And so could you take this to a consumer market too? So you talked about pharmaceuticals, and we know a lot of people do take pharmaceuticals and they have certain dosages that they have to take in certain time frames and those elements. Would you be able to take that model and apply it to a consumer-based product as well, or consumer business?
We would. It's not our goal to work with B2C. We have specialized in B2B solutions for now.
So one more thing is that about the pricing. So how you design your pricing models for the usage, the types, the access, the level of access. So how do you define your pricing model?
Awesome. So the pricing model that we use is still used in Brazil that we thought, and I will explain to you why we thought about using in Canada, was a pricing model where you pay a fee per business unit. And then you can have as many users as you want and a very big cap for usage, right? So like gigabytes. We tried when we were studying the market here, we saw that wasn't the practice in the market. So we changed our pricing to be user. So we have the price that you pay per user plus the price that you pay on gigabytes. So depending on which we have, I won't remember the exact numbers, but we have like the basic license where you can have up to 5 users and up to 1 gigabyte. And then you go over to more specialized where you have the enterprise one, but then we do different offerings.
Oh, okay. So are you the cloud-based document management or no?
Yes.
Because you said the Giga also. So it's a cloud-based. So that is a good thing to know. It's not in your computer or anything.
No, but they use the space in our cloud-based software, and that's the space that we are charging for.
Let's talk about a bit of security issues, especially that we are not working from the office. You are working from home, and we need access to documents. So how do you have guaranteed the security of the people? And they have several options for employers. They give the laptop to me. I have to use the same laptop, that's a work laptop, or no, I can access from anywhere if I have access.
So you can access from anywhere. You can access the platform from anywhere. The security comes in where you can first see the log for everything that someone did in the page or downloads or anything like that. The second is that we have the personalized security part. So you can only see the documents that you're allowed to see. And maybe not even download them for that matter. There are a couple clients that we have that they don't let their analysts download the documents. They can only see it online, but they can't download it. And then we have all the database and all that is secured from hackers and that other specific part.
But again, if I don't use the office laptop, still I can have access to that one.
Yes, we can.
And so, and Ingrid, coming to, and maybe we can dive into a little bit of the global the expansion from Brazil. But I want to talk about, because one of the things when you talk about data and cloud-based elements, there is a lot of government regulations around where the data resides, whether it resides on U.S. territory versus Canadian territory. Can you tell us a little bit about how you overcome these as you're moving from Brazil to Canada and your expansion?
Of course. So what we do right now is that all our database is in Oracle. And the first instance for the Brazilian clients is in Brazil, just because we also have regulation for banks there. And we have a couple investment banks that we use our platform. So we have the first instance for them in Brazil. And then we do the first instance in Canada for the Canadian and Brazilian, and the Canadian and the US market.
Mm-hmm. And so when you're making the decision, and the decision to go from Brazil, I assume that your market is pretty exhausted in Brazil, and you're trying to expand your operation. Why Canada? Why did you choose Canada as the first stage of that expansion outwards?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that the market in Brazil is exhausted. I'm saying we're choosing to expand to get even more clients onto it. Brazil is a very big country, so we still have a lot to explore here, hopefully there. Regarding Canada, it's a place where, first of all, they have a lot of support for women entrepreneurs. That is something that is a little bit lacking in our Brazilian environment. As well as the trade agreements with other countries. So with the NAFTA agreement, I can have access to the US market. We have very good agreements with a lot of countries in Europe. So it's a good place to start the global expansion and then expand to other countries. Or like if we started in the US, it's a little bit more complicated in terms of like establishing the company there. In Canada, we can establish in Canada and have access to those markets as well.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the obstacles being a woman entrepreneur in Brazil and a woman entrepreneur in Canada?
Of course. I think there's obstacles in general in Brazil and in Canada for women entrepreneurs. We have done a very good work with diversity, but we still have a lot to do. I think our market in Brazil is a little bit more immature. I can say, so I'm 25. I started my company when I was 20. Right. And I encountered a lot of challenges in the sense of people not respecting me because I was young and a woman, while my peers would get respect no matter what. So that's a little bit of nuance that we have to be careful that in Canada, because there's more incentivization of women entrepreneurs, even though a lot of the programs that I participate, you have the programs for women entrepreneurs, but you also have programs that I participate in, there's all men, and I'm the only woman founder. that you encounter those challenges in those markets. So it's a little bit more of like there's implicit bias. We have also the access to the market, and just that they are not used to seeing a woman CEO in IT. That's still a brand new thing. It's just something that the market is getting used to.
But even women in IT is even a big challenge in the world too. That's a new thing that seems to be needs to be pushed a little bit more, because we need more women in IT. We need more women entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of I think there's a lot of, that's a big conversation that we could do to help women, because I think there's still a lot of women that want to get in the market, but there's also a lot of gatekeeping in this market specifically, and for especially climbing the corporate ladder or getting in those companies and actually learning coding or learning other parts of IT, right?
Ingrid, you remind me 24 years ago that I started my career in IT. So 24 years ago, working in IT as a woman, as a young woman in Middle East. So,
I can't imagine.
But I should say that, I mean, it is really interesting, because when the people thinking about Iran, they think it's a lot of limitations, but I have limitations, but not much, not very much. And I think that's it's because we have a lot of software developers, women software developers on that time as well. So it's quite, for me, was not very challenging as just a developer, but that as a manager, it became a little bit more difficult.
Yeah,
but so, I think that it's organization culture actually really helps, and of course national culture as well. So I think that it's after 25 years still you're dealing with the same issues. So, and in Canada, in Brazil, and not in Middle East still. So it means that we are as women, we have to do a lot more things to remove this obstacle for next generation.
We definitely do.
I feel another podcast brewing, and I think we're going to have to take this off topic and bring it to another podcast. Could we get you back, Ingrid, for a discussion around this topic?
Of course.
Perfect. Ingrid, we always like to let our audience have a little bit of your insight and maybe some advice you want to share with us. Maybe something we haven't asked you, a question or a piece of information, something maybe around women entrepreneurs or IT, but something you can share with our audience to give them some experience and maybe share some knowledge or expertise.
Yeah, I would like to maybe give a little bit of insight regarding the accelerator program. So my company is accelerated now by 3 different accelerators here in Canada. And I would say my advice in that is being so one thing that the market is changing a lot in the accelerator programs in Canada is that they look for people that are coachable. So showing that you're there to listen and there to learn is something important if you're looking for investments and if you're looking to be in an accelerator program, as well as showing your software or your company as it really is. Because those people are used to hearing like 10 to 15 pitches a day. So if you try to say a broad picture or not say everything that is wrong with it, they will get it right away and it will not build trust with those people. So I think for accelerator programs and investors, that would be more of my tip in that regard.
Awesome. That is great words of advice. I think that's, to get in and getting into accelerator programs is really exciting, and opportunities to really accelerate your business. Love having you here, Ingrid. It's been a great chat. Learned a lot about you. I'd love to have you back to expand a little bit more on our women in IT. I think we have an opportunity to share some information there with our audience. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ingrid, thank you very much. And how our students or faculty can reach you if they have any question or they want to define a project?
Of course, they can reach me on LinkedIn. I'm Ingrid Polini. You can find me easily there.
Okay, thank you very much, Ingrid. Have a wonderful day.
To all entrepreneurs and managers out there, we have ambitious students here at UCW who would love to hear from you and help you with your business through our internship, our capstone program. If you think you have a wonderful story or a challenge that you want to share with our students and our audience that you think they can benefit from, we want to hear from you. We want that information. We want you to be a part of this show. We also want you to join our mentorship program. We've got a great mentorship program to help students as they move on their educational journey towards getting into a career or launching a new opportunity. So reach out to us, connect with us at www.ucanwest.ca/Innovation Fuel.
You have just listened to the Innovation Fuel podcast with your hosts, Dave and Gellere. Subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Google, or Spotify. Join us next week for another innovative story. Thank you for listening and have a great week.